Moms of Exceptional Children. And again, I'm Shelby Long. I'm the Twice Exceptional Mom. And when we talk about exceptional children, we're talking about children with different abilities. It could be giftedness. It could be that they're getting PEC services such as speech, or they might be getting served because they have autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, excuse me. There's just a wide variety of things that qualify a child in the state of Georgia that makes them exceptional. So we're talking about our exceptional children today because I'm excited to hear from Robin about her child and her child's success story, because she's an inspiration to me. When I talk to other moms, when I talk to other moms, the more I do this, the more moms I meet, the more stories I hear, because I think there's a lot of stigma attached to having children with special needs, even if it's giftedness, whether it's giftedness, whether it's autism, ADHD, any of these different disorders or diagnoses they want to give to our children. And we have to work really, really hard to make sure our children feel safe and they're comfortable in this world and they can function and be with other people. But it's a process to get them the right things. And as a mom, I don't know about you, but I know I've had nights where I've cried.
They've cried.
Yes.
Were you wondering did you do the right thing?
Yes.
Are you doing too much?
Or not enough?
Not exactly, or which way to go. So I'm completely there. I'm completely there. I have, now that I think about it, I'm a twice exceptional mom as well, because there's my daughter, Bella. Of course, Bella is on the autism spectrum, and she was on an IEP all throughout school.
So an individualized education plan or program, depending on where you're looking at it.
Yeah, but her, and she's 20. And so my youngest daughter, Ava, she is 11. She is in a gifted program. So, and now that I think about it, they are two sides of the same coin. They really are. And so I just never thought about it like that. So thank you for saying that, because even though I've been at this for a long time, I didn't even think about that gifted was on
an
this
exceptionality.
I didn't.
Because you can't treat a gifted child like you treat a regular gen ed child. They need to be challenged differently. They view life differently a lot of times. And when we look at some children, the children who are twice exceptional, they are gifted, but they may have autism. They may have ADHD. And a lot of that goes together, that neurodivergency, that different thinking is why we get these great people like, Temple Grandin, you know?
Yes.
And they see the world differently and they feel differently. And we're really lucky to have them. But I think it's hard because society, a lot of people in society still don't understand autism, especially, and they don't understand how to approach people with empathy. I think we're missing a lot of empathy in the world right now.
Definitely missing that. We're missing a lot of that. And you just made me think about how, when I tell my oldest, Isabella, we talk a lot about, especially in her early years, coping mechanisms.
Yes.
And just the thought of that, it's not teaching the world how to treat her.
She's teaching her how to deal with the world. Exactly.
And when I tell her, I said, Bella, unfortunately, nobody is going to ask, or going to wonder what's going on with her. Does she have this? She's going to have that. They're just going to look.
They're going to act. They're going to treat you a specific way because they made a prejudgment.
Yes. And she not only is on the autism spectrum, but she also has ADHD, and she has anxiety, and she has learned how to deal with all of that and how to help with those coping mechanisms. It's a lot. It can be a lot for her to deal with sometimes, and not only her, but those around her, because we're just searching for, okay, well, what's going on? What's wrong? I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
No.
Okay.
No, you're not getting ahead of yourself. But can I ask a question?
Yes.
So at what age was she diagnosed, or what age did she begin having an IEP?
See, now this is kind of twofold. pre-K. It was when we already knew going into pre-K that Bella was, a little different. And
when you say different, like, what did you notice as a parent that was different? Because we know our kids.
Yeah, she, what some people would say irrational fears. She was very quiet. I realized that something she had kind of regressed.
Alan Reese did a little bit as well. He was a talker and he stopped.
Yeah, she didn't talk that much in the beginning either. I remember this one time she was sitting in her high chair, and I had put her food down in front of her, put her little baby fork or spoon, and she just looked at me
like what to do with.
Yeah, and I was thinking, well, baby, just whatever time frame it was.
Right.
I said, just go ahead and get it, and she just didn't.
Respond.
She didn't
right.
respond. So
yeah.
That's something that's always stuck out. But when she went to pre-K, we started. It was things like maybe running out of the classroom,
eloping.
Yes,
I have an eloper. He's a runner and a track star. He likes to go when times get hard.
Yes. So she started doing that, and so by Christmas break, I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and get something done.
Right.
So I did not go through the school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went through, I took her to a pediatrician. Her father and I took her to the pediatrician, and I explained everything that was going on. And I take this, let me go back. It was actually kind of mid through the first semester.
Okay.
Because Christmas break of 2009 or something around there, she actually had her exam or her being observed during Christmas break. And so I was able to come back with everything that I needed.
Yes.
And the recommendations, and I still have those papers.
Wow.
The recommendations saying, okay, this is, what
we see and what we think we need to do to help address it.
And of course the teachers had already filled out the survey, so they knew it was coming. But, and when I say twofold, I'm sorry, I'm weaving in and out. Twofold, she was only diagnosed with ADHD. Initially.
Right.
And it wasn't until she was around 8 years old that she was diagnosed with autism. Yes. Because even though she got medication and she was, put on this plan, and I still felt that
there was something more that needed to be done to help her truck along like you wanted her to.
Yes. And so we finally, and we had also gone through a series of doctors, because some doctors just want to just medicate and just
and not put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
Yes.
And
so we finally found one doctor who actually just sat with her for about an hour and a half.
Wow.
And just that day told us, okay, well,
if you hear something in the background, it's my poodle. I didn't want to have her on my lap this time. So she's in the other room. She's not satisfied with that, but I promise she is well fed and happy. I want to say first, before we even proceed from there, because I'm a teacher too, I have so much respect for you. And I commend you, because a lot of parents shy away from asking for help or saying they notice things about their kids. A lot of times it's downplayed. Like even with my ex-husband, initially, with certain things my son was doing, he was like, oh, he's going to grow out of it. Oh, it's fine. But me being a teacher
my husband did that too.
Right. But me being a teacher and us having another child prior to, I'm like, no, we've got to do something. And he's also a pandemic baby too. So I saw things trucking along, then him regressing, and that was a problem for me as well. And I think a big reason why parents do that is because our children are extensions of ourselves.
Yes.
And when you see that something is different or perceived as wrong about your baby, you perceive that as yourself,
feel
and
it's
you
an
beat
attack
yourself,
against you.
and you feel, a lot of people
Yeah.
feel like, well, you're saying I did something wrong, or maybe I didn't take care of myself well enough when I was pregnant, or maybe I didn't feed them the right things. But at the end of the day, we have to have an understanding of what's going on with our kids to help them. And early intervention is the key.
It's a must.
It's a key.
It's
And
key.
a lot of parents wait. Like, just a quick aside, my son's in kindergarten, and he's a pandemic baby, like I said. So we closed schools March 15th, and his birthday is April 11th.
Oh.
So he turned 1 and 2 at the house.
Yeah.
Now, being a teacher, like I said, early interventions. Other parents didn't have the education or the knowledge, and they've sent kindergartners to school who don't have a therapist, haven't been an OT, PT, speech, and they are non-verbal in a regular ed classroom. Non-verbal. And they're frustrated. Sometimes the teachers are frustrated because they want to help them and they don't understand how to communicate with them and get the information that they need. But if those parents had started earlier, their child might be able to at least sign or do something. Just something. Because I know for the longest, even when we were doing baby sign language, I spent all this money on this sign language kid with Alan Reese. And they were doing something with speech. The only one we would get consistently from him was this. More. That's it.
And we did Baby Einstein with Bella because Bella was my first, and so
you did all the bells and whistles.
All the bells and whistles, but she did good with it, with Baby Einstein. But yeah, it's early intervention, and I still feel like I didn't act early enough, because she was 4, turning 5 when she got her first. When she got her first diagnosis, and no matter how much you do, you always feel there's something more that you can do.
But I disagree with you. You know why? I feel like you feel like that because you're such a great mom. I really do, because I think a lot of parents don't necessarily do that self-reflection and say, man, I could have done. I mean, I feel like you should be proud of yourself and knowing that when you saw,
I miss you.
We're gonna spend more time together.
Yes.
But a lot of parents don't even take that first step, and you care so much because you see how much it helped, and so you're thinking, what if I had started sooner? But you saw what needed to be done with your child, and you acted, and you put your foot on the gas, and you haven't stopped yet.
No, I have not stopped. She's 20 now, and she's 20. So in 2009, that's when she got her first diagnosis, and because she was not diagnosed for autism until like 3 years or so later. The things like the new therapies that they have now, like ABA,
they didn't have that.
They did not have that. We were her ABA, and I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with what the actual acronym is. Applied
Behavior Analysis.
Okay, so because the people just refer to it. If we had went through it, I probably wouldn't know what it is. But we wanted to socialize her.
Yes.
So we took her places. It was hard
because they react differently. They have a lot of kids with autism have sensory issues. They get overwhelmed easily. I'm sure that's part of what is contributing to her anxiety. Is they take everything all in at once.
Yes.
And they feel everything so strongly.
Very strongly. And sometimes I'm like, okay, let's breathe. Like even with teaching her how to breathe, I said, okay, so we're gonna smell the roses, or first before I realized I was doing it wrong, I would tell her, okay, suck through your straw and then blow out your candle. I'll tell her that now. She's like, well, I know how to do it now. So
but she knows because you showed her.
So I felt like, I think about, well, could she have been better with ABA? And then by the time she got her autism diagnosis, she had already been in school for a few years, and was writing, but she
It was her grip.
Her grip, she struggled with that, and her writing was, very big and wide. And so I did ask about
OT,
and they
occupational therapy.
They came back and told me that she didn't need it because she was already writing. And
I'm not smiling like that because you know why I'm smiling.
Because now that part was
I'm the one, and I don't like to be, but I'm the one, and because I fought tooth and nail, and I begged for different services for my son, and I will say he's gotten pretty much everything I felt like he's needed, but. Again, like I was saying about you, I don't put my foot off the gas.
Right.
I can't stop. And like I told you, I feel like in one of my taglines is advocacy is an act of love.
Yes.
You cannot stop.
And I love that.
Your child needs you to be that person. And have you ever read the book The Lorax? You know, they say, I'm the Lorax, I speak for the trees.
Yes.
I say I'm the mommy, I speak for Alan Reese.
Yes.
Okay? Because we have to be their voice, and we see stuff, and we need to get it. And like, we have private OT, private PT, all those types of things, and private speech. But whatever he can get at school, that's helpful too, because that's helping him, succeed in an academic setting. Because like, the private OT is supposed to do things like help you fasten your button, or help you think about how you put your clothes on, because kids with autism do different things. I have to help my son put his underwear and his pants on, and every day it's like we have never done it before.
She never wore suspenders.
Probably didn't want the feel of it.
Yeah, and then also trying to get it off, but I don't know. They had, the jeans that have like the 5 buttons.
Yes,
never got those. Never.
No.
Didn't even think about it.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare for my child.
Yes, never even thought about it, and it, her zipping up her coat, and but she's gotten of course better with it, and that's one thing I wish I had I had pushed for, but we worked on it at home. So I just like my mother, I'm very blessed to have my mother in my life, and she it was kind of like she was my partner, my husband, and
your emotional support, because it's an emotional thing.
Emotional, and she get her grandbaby. Okay, well, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. She, whatever I lacked, she was there for me. But you're right. You cannot take your foot off the gas, and I'm still going.
Talk to me a little bit